Cuento Crimen Podcast. We are a true crime podcast, and these are cases that don't get much media attention, so chances are you haven't heard of some of these cases. Come join us every Wednesday for a new true crime case. Hey everyone!
Hola todos!
It's Jahaira.
And this is Stephanie. And welcome back to Cuento Crimen Podcast segment.
Welcome to the YouTube part of the podcast, which is still kind of crazy to think about. We're still getting used to like the cameras and you know, the visualness of
logistics
and
stuff.
So yeah, thank you so much for tuning in. We hope that you are all enjoying this segment, and hopefully you are all, you know, liking it just like the podcast and enjoying it. So today we have two more stories, right, of how I almost got kidnapped. Y las agarramos from Reddit. Entonces, what we have is what we know. We can't, you know, speak from our friends' experiences or because we know that person. Like, we don't know who this is from. We only know what we know. Yeah,
we don't have the ability to ask follow-up questions. Like, this is a submission that we found online, which is interesting that there's Reddit's threads, people sharing their experiences on how they almost got kidnapped.
Yeah.
So I was surprised that we were able to find stories.
And also surprised that it's common. Like, the fact that there's like multiple stories, it's crazy. So yeah. Do you want me to go first, Steph?
Yes, you can go first. We'll keep it consistent.
What is it?
We'll keep it consistent.
Oh, okay, fine. Okay, so the first one that we have is about a child that was out and about using their scooter. And I feel like that was a lot of us, you know, like as children. Don't see it as much now, though. Like, that's, you know, los niños jugando afuera or something like that.
Hopefully it gets back to that. I feel like COVID kind of got in the way of things people were more indoors. Which so now that COVID's kind of over, right? So I feel like maybe we can go back to that.
Yeah. All right. So let's take a deep breath. Okay. So again, I don't know it by my just know the gist of it, but not the details. So you probably see me lancing on my computer. Okay. So the story says, when I was a kid, 8 at the most, I was playing outside on my street. I didn't know the area as well because this was where I lived with my mom when my parents split. So I barely knew any of the neighbors, but I knew a lot of the kids played on the far end of the road, so it seemed safe enough. And I mean, true, right? If you see like a bunch of kids, you're probably going to feel safer to go outside versus just you alone. Okay. And it says, well, on this day, I was playing on a scooter when I fell over coming down a hill. I grazed my hands and knees. Nothing too bad, though. Seems like strong. Seems like, you know, this is what happens with children. As I got up, I remember turning around and there was a man standing behind me, probably late 60s or 70s. He asked if I was okay, and I said I was, but he seemed concerned. He told me I should come back to his house and get my hands and knees cleaned up. I told him it was okay. I live right over there, and pointed. It was literally a minute or two walking distance. That is pretty close.
Yeah.
Also, I wonder, like, when this person said that, I wonder, like, if the man was like, oh, but I live closer, or like how close was his house, you know? However, he insisted I go with him, said his house was closer. Oh, answer my own question. He grabbed the scooter and started walking away from my house and towards his. By this stage, I knew I could be in danger. Alarm bells were ringing in my head, and he kept insisting we go back to his house. While we walked, him holding the scooter and not letting me push it, I started to drop back a bit while he was talking. He kept asking me questions, but I don't remember exactly. When he wasn't looking, I quickly turned and ran back to my house, my heart beating 1,000,000 times a minute. I never saw him nor the scooter again. Didn't hear of anyone going missing or anything either. I'm pretty sure my mom didn't believe me until years later. Pretty scary thinking back on it.
That's scary. I feel like bad intentions for sure, because if you see a kid, the first thing you might ask him is like, where's your mom?
Yeah.
Not like, come with me.
That is very true.
You know?
I mean, maybe like the initial part of like, hey, are you okay? Like, okay, that's acceptable. And then, yeah, like, where's your mom? Or the
Are
fact
you
that
alone? You know, like those
Yeah.
things. Like, who's with you?
Exactly. Or like even just the fact that like the kid was like, I live right there. Like, oh, okay, then you should probably go with your mom. Or like, or do you want me to walk with you to your house? Like, why was it so important to go back to his house?
Yeah. And after he also essentially said no, and then he's also like insisting, grabbing his scooter, you know, against his consent, pues.
That is scary. And I feel like, you know, the story was like very short, but I feel like that's how fast it happens.
Yeah.
Like en un minuto todo puede pasar. And like, if he had kept walking, or like if he waited for the wrong time, the man could have easily like turned back and snatched him back, right back in, and then just take off with him. So
I also find it scary. Like, I'm glad that no one went missing right after that. But it's scary to think that maybe this person didn't do anything afterwards. But it's scary to think that this person was willing to do it.
Yeah.
And like, because he had the opportunity, right? That crime of opportunity.
Yeah.
That's scary.
Or maybe he simply, I mean, hopefully not. Like, hopefully he didn't actually like kidnap anyone. But say, what if he just went to a different area? Like, he came to this area, saw kids playing, tried to do it, and it was a fail. So he was like, let me go try somewhere else. Because like, what if this kid tells his mom, and then what if his mom is like now looking for me, and like it's not a safe place for that person to come back?
Yeah, you're right. Like, what if like they told the mom, and then like the neighborhood now knows?
Yeah,
all the
like
moms
they're on the
know.
watch, you know?
Yeah, you're right. That's a good point too.
I mean, but who knows? Hopefully not. Hopefully like this person just had a change of heart and realized that it was wrong.
Yeah, so we have another Reddit story, and I'll also be glancing at my computer, reading the story. It's a lot shorter, but it goes like this. Almost happened to me a few years ago, actually. I'm 16 now, and I was around 11 or 12 at the time. I'm a guy, by the way. My mom and I were at a gas station in our town. She was squatting down on the right side of our car, cleaning out the floor. She was completely out of sight to anyone on the left side of us, so it looked as if I were alone. I was just standing there next to her, and a couple pulled up beside us on the left. They were in their late 30s or early 40s, and I noticed they kept looking back and forth at me and talking to each other. The man got out as the woman sat in the car and just stared at me with a grin on her face. And he said something like, "Hey, buddy," as he slowly walked around the back of the vehicle towards me. One of his hands stretched out in front of him. I responded, and then my mom asked me who I was talking to. Before he could make his way around the back of our car, he saw my mom through the back driver's side window, and she gave him only what I can describe as a mama bear look. And the man looked like he had seen a ghost, quickly walked back to his car and sped off. It was definitely one of the creepier moments of my life. And that's his story.
So yeah, that again, in a split of a second, he could have been taken. And like, the only thing that I was thinking, I was like, what if this couple just thought that he was like on the side of the road alone? Like, they didn't see any adults, so they're like, oh, this like, let's go check on this kid.
Yeah.
But then it's like, why was he so scared? Like, why was the man so scared to see his mom all of a sudden?
Yeah.
Like, if you were there to see if like the child was alone and if they needed help, al ver a su mamá, you're gonna be like, oh, hey, like, everything okay? Like, I was just checking up on him, but you know, you got it.
Yeah.
But instead, he fled.
Without saying a word.
Yeah.
Without an explanation, because the mom gave a mama bear look, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, the guy could have been like, oh no, I'm sorry, I thought he was alone, just double checking, but I'm glad he's okay. Bye.
Yeah,
you know?
exactly.
So,
and then also just like, I don't know, it's crazy to me though, like, you know, he's saying he's 11, 12, right? You would think he's young, but he had his gut feeling. And like the fact that like he literally described it as one of the creepier moments of my life, that means like there was something there that wasn't right to him.
You're right. 11, 12, you're kind of almost, what, a preteen?
Yeah.
Right?
Preteen.
11, 12, like sixth grader, maybe?
About, yeah, sixth grade, yeah.
So, okay, yeah, they're still kids, but like, kind of weird, huh?
Yeah. Like, I just feel like, I don't know, maybe it depends on the person, right? But I feel like it's harder for them to like read between the lines. But this person definitely read between the lines. So I feel like if they're able to read between the lines, it's because they feel it. Like they feel uneasy, like, you know, and it kind of reminds me like of my niece's story, you know, like she also felt really uneasy.
Yeah.
So she was just like, like this isn't right.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that feeling, and then the men again walking away without saying anything.
Yeah.
It's creepy.
It's, yeah, like you said, it can happen in a split of a second. And I think like those that are parents can take something out of this and like be more aware in, you know, basic things like being at a gas station and cleaning out your floor, because you do that, you know, like you're at the gas station, you throw your trash away.
Yeah.
And if you have your back for a second, like anything can happen.
I get so scared. Like, I think I was saying like my coworkers, like they were saying how, oh yeah, like I love taking my kid here, there, bum, bum, bum. And I'm like, no, I am an anxious person. Like I get so anxious going out with my son, just the two of us. Like, it scares me. Like, and even putting gas, like I always, you know, turn off the car. Obviously I have my keys. I lock all the doors, but I keep like the one where he's at, like to me open, and I'm just like literally standing there. Like I put the pump in and everything, and I like, open the door and I'm just standing there with him. But like the other doors are locked, you know, that way like no one can get in my car. Yeah. But it's still scary.
Yeah, I don't know, you just hear so many stories, and yeah I agree. Like I typically, like my mom is the babysitter for my niece, and so they'll go out sometimes to the store, and I always like, I work from home, so I'll try to make my way there as well. Yeah. Even taking a baby out of the car and putting the baby back in the car. And if you have shopping bags and if you have a stroller, it's a lot. Yeah, it's like a 2-man job.
It is. And that's why, like, when I go out with my partner, I'm always like, you take care of the groceries or like whatever it is that we buy, and I take care of the baby. Yeah. And, like, that's it, you know? Because it is scary. And then, like, the times que sí me ha tocado, like, to go alone, like, I'm just like, all right. Like, in my head, I'm, like, reciting what I'm going to do. And I don't know if it's just because, you know, like, I love crime and I, like, hear all these stories. But it's just always in the back of my mind. Like, okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold them. I'm going to grab, like, the grocery bag, put it in. And then I'm going to sit him down. And it's a lot.
Yeah. You can never be... like too aware, you know?
It's a lot being an anxious mom. But yeah, those are like the stories that we have for today. I know they were on the shorter side. But again, we do want to remind you all, if y'all have any stories that y'all would like to share, send them our way. You can email them at cuentocrimenpodcast@gmail.com. And again, it can be anonymous. It doesn't have to be.
Or on our social media as well, you can send us there. Let us know what you're comfortable with. If y'all want us to give fake names and whatnot. But yeah, we want to hear what y'all have experienced and what we can learn all together. And yeah. So yeah, thank you so much for tuning into this video. We appreciate it so much, and we'll see y'all next time.
Bye.